Olympic athletes use this tool before competing. Leading entrepreneurs, entertainers, and other athletes use this to achieve optimal results in their careers and business ventures. World Cup winning skier Lindsey Vonn to legendary basketball player Michael Jordan to actors Will Smith and Idris Elba to musician Jay-Z. Each of them uses this technique to give them a competitive edge and also to cultivate a sense of belief, build confidence, and help build motivation. Let's dive in. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Addiction Unlimited podcast, where you get to learn everything you want to know about addiction and recovery. I'm your host, Angela Pugh, co-founder of Kansas City Recovery, life coach, and recovering alcoholic. To learn more about me, you can listen to episode 0 on your podcast app or find us on the web at addictionunlimited.com. Hello, my friend. Welcome back to another episode of the Addiction Unlimited podcast. I'm your coach, Angela Pugh, helping you get more of what you want in life and less of what you don't. I am super excited to talk about this tool today. This is one of my personal favorite tools, and I'm going to tell you what it is, how it works, and how to do it, and why it works, because it feels a little weird, but it is science-backed, my friends. Science today says that 95% of our brain's activity is unconscious, meaning the majority of the decisions we make, the actions we take, our emotions and behaviors depend on the 95% of brain activity that's beyond our conscious awareness. What that means is we're on autopilot. Your subconscious handles everything your body needs to function properly, from eating and breathing to digesting your food and making memories. It also holds all the programs that control the way you think, what you believe, the way you feel, act, react, and pretty much everything else that forms who you are. You see how important all this subconscious stuff is? To create change in your life and become the person you really want to be, you have to use tools that work with your subconscious mind to rewire your thinking and belief systems. There's this book called The Biology of Belief, and the author is Bruce Lipton. He's a PhD and a stem cell biologist, and he says that we live in a subconscious state, a theta state, from the age of 0 to 7 years old. And this is when we're downloading, we're little sponges. Look at your little kids. They're little sponges and they're just soaking up all the information. They're downloading all the beliefs from the people closest, right? It's our families, our communities. From 0 to 7 years old, we're just downloading all of these stories and belief systems. You hear us professionals always talking about the stories you tell yourself. Change that story you're telling yourself to a new positive story. Stop telling yourself that story. Well, this is where those stories come from. As an adult, you struggle with issues you don't understand because those stories and belief systems were installed when you were a kid. Money issues, abandonment issues, emotional issues, fear, anxiety, attachment issues, all of these things were installed when we were kids. You also hear us pros talk about limiting beliefs, the beliefs about yourself that are holding you back from getting what you really want in life. These are also stored in and controlled by your subconscious, and they were installed in your brain without your consent or your awareness when you were a child. And some of you might be saying, what are limiting beliefs, right? That's very normal language to me. It may not be to you. Limiting beliefs are the thoughts you have about yourself, like, I'm not good enough. Other people are better than me. I'm not smart enough. I don't have the confidence to do this thing or that thing. I don't deserve this or that. I always mess up. I'll never be wealthy because my family isn't. I always meet the wrong person, or why do I always attract the wrong people? I never reach my goals. These are all the stories that are holding you back from getting all the things you want. So how do you work on that subconscious mind and write new stories for yourself so you can get more of what you want in life and less of what you don't? My favorite tool is visualization. What the heck is visualization and why does it work? That's what you're probably saying to me right now. Well, let me share a study that was done in the 70s with athletes. And this study was done specifically to demonstrate the effectiveness and the power of visualization. So this was done on basketball players, and they were separated into 3 groups, and each group had a different workout for 30 days. The first group had to shoot baskets, like you think traditional practice. You go to practice, you shoot baskets, right? The second group had to imagine shooting successful baskets. And the third group did nothing. Here's what's interesting. The first group, who physically went and shot shots, improved their results by 24%. The second group that just imagined successful shots improved their results by 23%. And the third group made no progress, of course, because they didn't do a damn thing. But did you hear what I said? The group that visualized made almost as much progress as the other group. That's powerful. And researchers have repeated the experiment multiple times, similar results. It works. I'm going to give you a few reasons why it works. Then I'm going to give you a quick process for how you can start your own visualization practice today. Everything I'm going to share with you is backed by science. If you've been with me for a long time, you know I only engage in activities that are scientifically proven because I want long-term sustainable results from the things I put my energy into, just like you. I don't want to waste my time on a bunch of stuff that may or may not work. I want to know that it actually works so I know exactly what to do to get the exact result I want. So first things first, why it works. Your brain doesn't differentiate between what's real and what's imagined. And I do know that sounds crazy, but it responds to the images and emotions you create in your mind as if they're actually happening. This means that when you imagine something vividly, right, in detail and with emotion, your brain chemistry changes as though that experience was real. And your mind records it as a real memory. So think about the impact this can have on you. Think about fear and anxiety, the 2 things that we all live with the most, right? That hold us back more than anything else. Everything is fear. Everything that happens is fear-based, right? Everything we do or don't do is fear-based somehow, I swear. So fear and anxiety come from negative anticipation of future events, right? It's the unknown. How is this going to be? How am I going to do it? How am I going to make it happen? How am I going to feel? Is it going to be terrible? How are people going to respond? Right? You have all this negative anticipation about future events. If you can visualize a future situation going the way you want with the outcome you want, your mind will record that as a real memory. Then all of a sudden, the situation is no longer an unknown because your brain thinks it's something you've already done successfully. Your insecurity about the situation goes down. You'll feel more confident in your ability to go through the situation because you will have already successfully done it in your mind. And by the way, you're visualizing all the time, whether you realize it or not. Think about like when you're fighting with your partner, say you have a phone call and you say something that irritates your partner. And you know when you get home, the shit's going to go down, right? So you see the whole thing play out in your head. You see it. I'm going to pull in. I'm going to go inside and they're going to say this and they're going to do that. Or maybe you're the one in the house and they're coming home. And you're like, well, they're going to come in and they're going to give me this look. They're going to set their stuff down in the same place and they're going to look at me this certain way that makes me want to strangle them. And right, you play out the whole thing in your head and they're going to say this and I'm going to say this and this is how it's going to go down. And it's going to be the silent treatment and slamming doors and somebody sleeping on the couch. You play the whole thing out in your head. That's visualization. You can't be surprised when you play out the whole scenario that it then happens exactly that way because you just committed to it by playing it out in your head. Or think about money stuff, right? Bills, you don't want to get the mail or answer the phone calls because you don't have the money to pay the bills. You don't want to rifle through the mail and see all the bills because you don't have the money. You don't want to answer the phone calls because it's bill collectors and you don't have the money. This is what we refer to as self-fulfilling prophecy. right? You think about something and you think in your head how it's going to go down and you have all the feelings that go with it. In that fight with your partner, you're feeling all the feels, right? You're visualizing what they're going to say, the look on their face, and how pissed off you're going to be, and your self-righteousness. And maybe you even feel your face getting red because you're getting pissed. That's visualization, right? And it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. You play it out detail by detail in your head, and then it happens exactly that way. It's visualization. We want to reprogram the system like it's your own personal inner GPS. Visualization tells your mind what to focus on. We have to tell it what to focus on because what you focus on will become your reality. And this is what we call being intentional. You hear that word thrown around everywhere, being intentional. Nobody really explains what it means. Being intentional means I choose what action I will take. I choose what people I will spend my time with or won't. I choose what shows I watch or don't watch, what places I go or don't go. I choose intentionally how I live my life. Just like you have to choose intentionally how you live your life to get the life that you want. Visualization is intentionally telling your brain what to focus on. And the biological term for this is called the reticular activating system, right? RAS. The reticular activating system acts like a filter, right? Out of all the information coming to our senses from our environment, it decides what we'll notice and what we won't. And remember, your brain looks for shortcuts to conserve energy. So your brain is always looking for little ways to go on autopilot because it has a lot of shit to do in a day. It's got to make a lot of decisions. It's got to overthink everything. It's got to twist things up and blow them out of proportion. I mean, our brains are busy, you know? So think about like when you drive to work, you get to work, but you don't remember the drive because your brain goes on autopilot to conserve energy. It doesn't have to think about that drive because you've done it a million times. It knows exactly what to do so you can space off and think about other things. Or like your morning routine. Listen, every morning when I get up, okay, I'm going to get up, take my medicine and drink water. I'm going to pee, brush my teeth and start my coffee. That's it. It's been exactly the same for 125 years. It will probably be the same for another 125 years. My brain does not have to actively engage in that process because we do it every day. It's autopilot. And your brain has to do that to conserve energy because it has so many other things to do. So it's constantly looking for data in your environment that matches and reinforces your thoughts and belief systems. It's pretty important that your thoughts and belief systems are good and healthy and positive. If you want your GPS to work to your advantage and notice opportunities that will take you closer to what you want to achieve, you have to program it. And the best way to program it is by visualizing everything. Visualization is how you effectively communicate to your reticular activation system what you want to focus on. And that allows it to filter out all the irrelevant information and bring your attention to the opportunities and resources that align with your vision. Let me give you an example of this. You're going to be really mad at me for this, but I'm going to show you how this works. I'm going to tell you right now to notice all the white cars there are in this world. There are a lot of white freaking cars in this world, right? Now, I just told your reticular activating system what to pay attention to. So the rest of your day, maybe even the rest of your week, you're going to notice every damn white car you see because I just told it to think about it. And I'm sorry for that because it might be frustrating. And I'm probably going to get a million messages about all the damn white cars. There's a lot of white cars. But that's reticular activation, right? It's telling your brain what to focus on. And if you visualize vividly, right, in detail, you're telling your brain what you want to focus on and what you want to achieve. You're giving it this beautiful picture so it can filter out all the things that don't go with that picture. Okay, last thing, and then we're going to get to the actual practice and how you can get started today. Remember the limiting beliefs we talked about a minute ago. Visualization is how you override those limiting beliefs. Visualization under deep relaxation, which is called self-hypnosis, really. When you relax deeply, your brain waves move from beta, like that's what we live in, beta, right? Deeper is alpha and deepest is theta. And remember, I brought up theta, that's 0 to 7 years old. We're in theta. That's that totally suggestible state of mind where you're just taking in and soaking up everything, right? Alpha and theta are suggestible states. And that's where it becomes easier to reprogram patterns and beliefs at a subconscious level. If you visualize yourself accomplishing something that you believe you can't do while you're at those levels, those brain waves, and you do it a lot because repetition is important, you'll begin to override the old limiting beliefs that have prevented you from succeeding with the things you really want in life. And to reach that suggestible state, you have to relax your body and your mind. And you can start with a body scan relaxation, relaxing each part of your body one by one from head to toe. And do that before you start visualizing. And focus on your breathing, right? That, of course, another science-backed thing. Breathing, huge for your body, huge for your brain, necessary, calms anxiety, regulates nervous system, slows down your heart rate when necessary. You can also speed up your heart rate when necessary. Breathing is huge. And focusing on your breathing also helps you relax. And I'm going to make this really easy for you, okay? Go to YouTube and search for hypnosis on whatever thing you're working on. You know, when I had the greatest success in changing my food habits, it's when I did a specific hypnosis on it and I listened to it every single night as I fell asleep. Hypnosis is used to change a specific behavior or thought process because of the relaxation and it taking you into those suggestible brain waves. So search it on YouTube. You'll find a million options that will walk you through the relaxation part and guide you through the whole process. It's amazing. But if you want to do a quick visualization on your own, I'm going to give you the steps, right, of how to do it, what to think about. And then I'm going to tell you a few ways that I use this because visualization does not have to be something like meditation or hypnosis where you sit down, close your eyes, do the thing, right? Visualization can be really fast, super simple. You can do it a million times a day if you need or want to. I certainly do, always. So here are the key principles to make your visualization good. Okay. Close your eyes and set an intention. Mentally say what you want to achieve. This can be something big. It can be something tiny, right? Maybe you're pulling up to your house and you're exhausted. You've worked all day. It's been a hard day. You're kind of at the end of your rope. You can't take much more. And you know you're walking into a house that's going to be a little bit chaotic, kids, homework, dinner, whatever the things are. And you're kind of dreading it, right? When you pull in your driveway or your garage, you can just sit for 1 second when you turn your car off, take a deep breath and go, okay, this is how I want this to go. I want to walk in. I want to smile. I want to see everybody else smiling. I want it to be calm for a minute. I'm going to look at my partner and say, hey, I just need a few minutes to unwind and change my clothes. Do you have everything under control for just a few minutes? Right? You just visualize. It can be that simple. And then you go inside and you'll be blown away at how much this works. So close your eyes and set your intention. Be very specific about what you want to achieve. 2, imagine the situation you want to work on. Like I just played out that scene for you. Make the scene as real as you can using all your 5 senses. The more detailed you can imagine the scene, the better your brain will record it as a memory. All 5 senses. And I'll get into that here in a minute when I tell you some different ways I've done this. Number 3, always incorporate your strong positive emotions. And this is key. Without a strong emotion attached to it, the event visualized won't seem real enough to be recorded as a memory. So you got to get the feelings in there, okay? Make sure to feel what you want to feel. And number 4, repeat the process often. Visualize daily until you start seeing the changes in your behaviors or the situations and you're just feeling better. Repetition is always key in anything that we do, but especially when we're dealing with brain processes, especially dealing with anything subconscious. This isn't fast, people. They call it the reptilian brain for a reason, because we're dealing with programming from the beginning of time. So don't expect like you're going to do this one time and you're cured, right? It doesn't work that way. It takes practice. Like anything else on the planet, it takes practice. The more often you do it, the better you'll get at it, the better outcomes you'll get from it. Then you'll start using it more in different situations. You'll start seeing how fast and easy it can be in small situations. And it's a game changer. So I'll tell you a few ways that I use visualization often. One, for sure, when I'm doing an intervention, right? When I have an intervention, because interventions can be stressful, there are a lot of unknowns in an intervention. Remember, we talked about this a few minutes ago. Fear and anxiety come from unknown. It's negative anticipation of a future event. So when I'm going into an intervention, I spend a ton of time in visualization that day before I go to the intervention, a ton of time. I'm quiet. I'm in a dark room. I'm eyes closed. I'm relaxing. I am deep, deep, deep breathing. And I am visualizing the whole process. Now, when I'm walking into an intervention, oftentimes I don't know. I've never been to the house where I'm going, right? So I might not be able to see the room perfectly, and I don't know all the faces. But what I do know is how I want the energy of that room to feel. I want it to be safe. I want it to be full of love. I want to be calm and loving and kind. And I want to feel like a safe space for everybody else in that room. So I visualize all those pieces. I see me walking in. I feel me being relaxed. I feel my purse in my hand as I set it on the counter. I feel sitting in the chair. I see me smiling at the other people and them smiling back at me. And I feel how relaxed we are, right? It's all of those pieces. You see how I put all the senses in there? Now, usually I'm walking in and I'll bring donuts or bagels, or I'll have a coffee in my hand. So I will smell those smells as I'm visualizing this process. And I just visualize it all the way through. I visualize how I want to feel and how I want the person to feel and what I want the outcome to be. I visualize everybody hugging at the end when the person says, yes, I'll go to treatment. I visualize how proud I am of them. And I visualize all the excitement and hope I have for their future, because they have no idea how good their life can get, right? That's visualization. Another way I've done this is with money stuff. When I've been broke, listen, you can visualize and manifest some money. Okay. And here's the one I did years ago. I did this one for money, and it was a visualization of going to my bank and going up to the ATM, putting my card in and seeing a certain balance come up. Cause it always asks you, do you want your balance? And listen, this isn't even something that I do, to be like, I never get my balance from the ATM. I don't even go to the ATM, So in that way, it's not real, but maybe I see the balance on the app on my phone. Maybe I see it when I log on my computer, but it's just seeing that balance and it being a certain number. And that's what I was driving for at that time. So I would visualize driving to my bank. And in my visualization, it would be winter, because that's my favorite time of year, right? And one of my happiest things is when I walk outside and super cold air hits my face. Nothing makes me happier. So that was my visualization. I drive to the bank. I pull up in the parking spot. I see the whole bank, the ATM, my parking spot. I visualize what I'm wearing. Of course, I'm in heels. I visualize opening the door. I feel the cold air hit me. I hear my heel hit the ground as I take my foot out of the car. I hear my heels click, 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 click as I walk up to the ATM machine. I put my card in. I feel how cold the buttons are as I enter my PIN number. I kind of shiver a bit, right? Because it's cold AF, just like I like it. And I just visualize the whole thing. And I visualize that balance coming up. And I visualize the gratitude I feel when I see that balance, because I'm so happy and grateful that I hit my goal. And I'm so grateful that I can take a breath and relax because I can pay all my stuff. Like, visualize every detail. If I visualize going into the bank, I visualize walking up to the door. I visualize what the handle feels like when I grab the handle to open the door. I visualize the smell. See, my old bank made cookies, and I had one branch that did popcorn. So every time I walked in, it was this smell, right? And I visualize that smell, and I think, "Ooh, damn, that smells good. I'd love to have about 20 of those cookies. At least I want at least 20." But I visualize seeing the teller and smiling at them. And I visualize them smiling back. And I visualize, "Hi, how are you? I'm good. How are you?" Visualize the whole thing. I visualize my conversation. I visualize how I want to feel. Listen, there have been times I've gone to the bank. If I'm visualizing money stuff, it's because I'm broke as a joke. And that is nerve wracking. And there's so much anxiety and embarrassment and shame wrapped up in being broke, right? And I know all those feelings really well. And it's hard sometimes to walk in the bank and a stranger is pulling up your account information, and maybe it's even negative, right? Like, it's humiliating. But I got to visualize walking in and doing the thing like it is happening the way I want it to happen. And I visualize them seeing my balance and going, "Damn, she must really have her shit together," right? But you visualize all those pieces. Does this make sense? Let me give you a little one that I did a minute ago. I talked about when you're coming home. And I used to do this one all the time when I would pull in the garage, when I was living with people, and I would pull in the garage and I would just take a few deep breaths and be like, "Okay, this is how I want this to go. And I want to be relaxed, and I want to be happy, and I want to hug, and I want to give happiness, and I want them to feel fantastic, and I want it to be a great evening, and I want everybody to be happy and calm and cool and smell the smells and hear the noises and do all the things." And I would just do that for 10 or 15 seconds before I walked in the door. And that's what I'm saying. This doesn't have to be a crazy practice. This doesn't have to be, where we build things up in our head like meditation, like, "Oh my God, I've got to sit down in a dark room with a monk for 5 hours and meditate." Like, don't blow it out of proportion. You can do this in seconds. You also have heard me talk about on many episodes the bathroom break. This is a similar thing. There is no situation on the planet it's inappropriate to excuse yourself to the restroom. I can use that few minutes that I'm in there to visualize. And I've done this before. I had this one time, somebody was really irritating the life out of me. And this is way back a long time ago when my temper was still really out of control. And I excused myself to the bathroom and I sat down in that stall and I was like, "Please don't let me hit this person. Please don't let me punch this person. I cannot punch this person. Please let me be okay." Like, I am just begging for this strength, right? And I didn't even know about visualization back then, but just running through it in my head and reminding myself who I wanted to be in that moment and reminding myself how I wanted to behave and how I didn't want to behave. And I walked out of that bathroom and lo and behold, that person was like, "Well, I'm going to take off for the night." And I was like, "Damn, I don't have to worry about hitting him anymore." You know, take those moments, excuse yourself to the bathroom and take just that few seconds to get recentered and visualize how you want the rest of the situation to go, how you want it to turn out. Use this when you have events to go to that you're worried about drinking. Like, see the whole thing, visualize every piece of it, visualize what you're going to have in your hand instead of an alcoholic beverage. Visualize how it feels, visualize how you feel so freaking proud of yourself for getting through that situation, how strong you are for remaining alcohol free in a situation that can be triggering, right? Visualize how you want other people to respond to you. Visualize what you're going to say and what they'll say back. It's just a little mental movie that your brain will record as a real event, and then it will help you move toward the opportunities and actions that align with the goal you want to achieve. You can use visualization in a million things all the time. Like I said before, you're already visualizing all the time. It's just most of the time it's with a negative outcome because our little brains want to obsess and think about the anxiety and the fears and the doom and gloom instead of thinking about the outcome we really want to achieve. You can do this with breakups. I had to do this recently. I had a relationship in my life that changed, right? And it was challenging. Last week's episode was about grief. I talked about it a little bit in there and going through that process. And when I had to go somewhere where I had to see this person, I had to really sit down and think about it, how I wanted it to go, because I didn't want to go. I really did not want to go. But I had to visualize it. This is how I want it to be. This is how I want it to feel. This is what I want it to look like. This is how I want that person to feel and experience me and feel okay and good and happy. I had to visualize all of it, and it worked. Of course it worked. It almost always works. Where you will trip yourself up is if you give mixed messages, right? You can't say, oh, I want, and you can't get crazy. Like, I'm visualizing $1 million. And then you back it up with, but I know I won't get it, right? If you back it up with that, but I know I won't get it, that's the message that you're recording in your brain. You visualize the thing. This is how I want it to be. This is how it feels. Get all the senses involved in it. I'm so happy and grateful. Thank you for this. And then you walk away from it and let it be. Don't back it up with, but I know it's not going to happen, but I know I can't really do that. It's never turned out that way before, right? If you give mixed messages, that visualization isn't going to be effective. So start doing this with little bitty tiny things. Maybe it's getting up on time. So the night before when you're going to sleep, you visualize getting up on time, how great you're going to feel, the energy you're going to have, how proud of yourself you're going to be, and get all those senses involved in that visualization and see what happens the next morning. Or if you're walking into a meeting you're nervous about, visualize how you want it to go, how you want to feel, how you want them to feel, how you want your performance to be, whatever. Start doing it in little itty bitty tiny ways so that you can build your confidence and know that you can do it and know that you do it well and know that there's a good outcome to be had. Okay? Rules to remember. Be specific, very specific with what you are visualizing, what you want your goal to be, what you want the outcome to be. Use all 5 senses to reinforce your vision. Feel all the feels and then repeat, okay? Repeat and practice. You have to train your brain. The more you do it, the better you'll get at it, the better outcomes you'll have. Then you can start doing it for bigger things. And it's life-changing. It truly is. All right, you've already got a lot to practice. And it is a big and fascinating topic that will change your life. This is a law of attraction topic. Law of attraction is something I love and live by. Remember, visualization is a skill that gets better with practice. The more you engage in these techniques, the better you will get and the more powerful your visualizations will become, okay? Get creative, explore different methods, find what works best for you. The more you do it, the closer you get to turning your dreams into your reality and really creating the life that you want. If you want some more guidance, if you want to work on really changing your life and you think you and I might be a good fit to work together, you're always welcome to book a free call with me. It's addictionunlimited.com/call. It's always linked in the show notes of every episode if you want to do that. I'm happy to talk to you. There's no hard selling. I'm not a salesperson, so don't worry about that. And you do actually talk to me. That it's addictionunlimited.com/call. And if working with me isn't the right move for you, I'm happy to tell you where to start and how to practice and how to get better at some of these things. Okay. But if you're done screwing around and you're done with all the starts and stops and you're done jumping from one program to another and you really want to get change in your life, I'm your girl for sure. So addictionunlimited.com/call. I hope you guys are having a fantastic day and I will see you next week.
You've reached the end of another great episode of the Addiction Unlimited podcast. Candid and honest conversation about addiction and recovery. Be sure to visit us at addictionunlimited.com to join the conversation and access show notes and links to everything we talked about. Love this episode? Please take 30 seconds to subscribe, rate, and review on iTunes to help us improve and give you the information you want. Thanks for listening. See you next week.